Welcome back, everybody, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of Behind the Ears Podcast. I am your host, Uncle Danny. Alongside of me tonight, Mr. Chris.
Hey everybody, how y'all doing today? Thanks for joining us. And if you're joining us here live on Facebook, feel free to share this with all your friends. We've got a great show planned for you tonight. And I'll tell you what, I know it's a little bit later on the East Coast. Perfect timing for you people on the West Coast. And hey, not too late for everybody in the middle. But we're glad that you're here. Danny, I think you have an announcement for us.
I do, guys. Are you tired of waking up at, say, 2 a.m. to get those pesky ADRs? I know I am. So I'd like to take a moment to first thank our sponsor and also tell you guys about Fantastic Memories Travel and its Mouse Master Travel Group. The Mouse Master Travel Group focuses on Disney destination vacations, and as a Mouse Master agent, would love to take care of those stressful parts of your vacation planning so you can focus on the fun. You can always check them out at mousemastertravel.com. Now, with that being said, we got a fun little episode for you guys. We're going to do a bit of a news episode, a little run around the table. What we're going to talk about today, we're going to do a little bit of Disney Quest news. We're going to talk about Disney stock, the 25th anniversary of Port Orleans, some mouse keeping, and we have a special YouTube video that you'll see later in our show. So without any further ado, Chris, take it away.
Well, I gotta tell you, Disney Quest is, one of the first interactive arcades, so to speak. And you call it an interactive theme park. It was kind of an arcade, and I know it's kind of one of those places where, let's face it, I think a lot of people overlook it, mainly because it's an arcade. And someone might say, hey, why would I want to go to Walt Disney World and, spend time, playing video games? Let me tell you something. This place actually had a really close place in my heart because I was a video game kind of kid. And even when I was on vacation with my family, I used to love playing video games. Well, last year at this time, we were hearing that Disney Quest was going to close, and they thought it was going to close sometime in the summer of 2016. Well, it appears that finally Disney is actually going ahead, setting a date, closing its doors, and if I'm not mistaken, I'm not looking at my notes, it's July 3rd. So right now, this is going to be the last half of let me try one more time. It's going to be the last half of a year that you're going to be able to go to Disney Quest. And I think I'm going to be able to make it to one more visit before it finally closes. But here's my kind of dilemma. I'm hoping that it isn't like, in total disarray by the time I finally get there. Because let's face it, they're not going to put any more money into it or anything like that. But, the interesting part to it is my son loves the old-time video games. And we do some things on our own. My son and I like to go and, have fun there for a few hours. And also the virtual video games, the big ones like, the Magic Carpets of Aladdin, which, if you've never done it before, is actually really cool because you actually put on one of the first virtual reality type headsets, and it is actually quite huge. It makes, it's gigantic compared to, say, the cool Samsung glass type stuff, or even stuff by Oculus. This is the first generation type of stuff, and the graphics actually really show it too. And you're kind of leaning over in this. It's almost like if you're riding a sports motorcycle type of thing, and you're trying to guide your magic carpet type of thing around. And you're trying to find Aladdin and everything. It's actually really pretty cool. It's not easy, but it's actually really pretty cool. They also have virtual Pirates of the Caribbean, which I just love. You walk onto what looks like a ship deck, and it has the controls that are very similar to Toy Story Midway Mania. And in essence, you have to go and collect gold. You've got one person that's steering the ship. You've got all the people pulling the cannons to, get the cannonballs off. And that's pretty awesome. There's also the virtual Jungle Cruise, which I have to tell you right now is one of the hardest games I've ever played. You actually sit in like a whitewater raft, and you have an oar, and you try to, actually guide yourself down type of thing. I'm exhausted after I play that. I kid you not. They also have Buzz. Here's one for you, Mr. Buzz Lightyear. They also have Buzz Lightyear Astro Blasters.
Ooh.
Okay, now you are in a car that kind of looks like a bumper car
Okay.
with enclosed. It's enclosed.
Ooh. Nope.
Well, it's all glass or all plastic. You see all the way around you. But here's the cool part. Inside is a cannon. And you have to run over these big, gigantic bowling ball looking balls, okay? And it comes up into your cabin. And then you have to put it into the cannon itself. You close it. And then you fire it at another person in a car. And it has to hit hit certain parts of the glass, or well, the plastic, I should say. And then if you hit it just right, all of a sudden your car kind of just spins around, and lights go off, and everything else like that for about 15 seconds. It's really pretty funny. And you have to you have to reload by driving your car over more of the balls and stuff like that. My son and I have a blast doing this. It looks like it has a long wait, and it kind of does because there's a long setup time and there's a long cleanup time afterwards, and you get about 5 minutes to play. So we usually wait about 20 minutes in that particular line. It's really hilarious. But it's also multi-level, and they have everything from the most modern video games to Pac-Man and Ms. Pac-Man and Defender and Galaga and Spy Hunter. One of the last few Spy Hunter games I've ever seen around here. But also one of my favorites. You get off that elevator, and one of the first things you see is Fix It Felix
Oh, okay.
from Wreck-It Ralph, and you actually play it. They have like several of them. They look like just like in the movie type of thing. It's absolutely hilarious. But here's my take. Disney Quest is finally closing, and while I know there's a lot of people that are not necessarily going to, they're not going to cry in their milk over this. My son was like, oh, really? It finally had a date. We're going to give it one more try. But here's the thing. They said that they're going to have the NBA experience come in there again. Now, I actually thought that the reason why they delayed the closing was because that deal fell through.
Yeah.
So I'm not really sure what's going on. Personally, not a basketball fan. Sorry, nothing. I have nothing against basketball, but I'm not a basketball fan, and so I kind of just sit back and say to myself, why? Why basketball? Why not football? Why not NASCAR? Why not all mix of them? And there's several levels. You can actually do different sports themes on every level. There's like 7 levels or something like that. Maybe not 7. I think it's more like 6. But I kind of think about that, and they could have done something a little bit different if you ask me. But who am I? I'm just I'm just a guest that likes to play video games, to be honest with you.
No, yeah. I'm gonna kind of piggyback on that. I am not the biggest basketball fan. I would have loved to seen this turn into the NHL, but
Good point. Good
we
point.
can't. Um, I'm a little surprised that Disney owning the rights to ESPN, football being as big as it is, a lot of people watch football. You have a lot of people traveling down to Florida during football season.
Right.
I thought it would have been a knock out of the park to put an NFL experience in there.
Well, I can see that as a reality too.
But
Something.
is there? I'm sorry, again.
No, I was gonna say, but it's like again, I think you and I are seeing the problem, right? It's just the idea that which major national sport do we put it there? I just don't know.
Yeah, Jessica says she's never been to Disney Quest. Is it worth going to just see it for once, going February 21st through March 1st? Jessica, normally I would say no. Now me and Chris are different. Chris loves it. I'm not the biggest fan of it. I could do a lot of other things while I'm down there, but for the ending purpose of the fact of this is going away, and this is something that's never really going to come back. it may, you know, I should say, I shouldn't say never, but if it came back, it would be on a much smaller platform than it is now. I would recommend doing it. You know, take a night out, do a couple hours there. You don't need to do a full day there, but you know, you don't want to turn around in 10 years and be listening to Behind the Ears podcast, virtual reality at that point, and us be talking about this and be like, man, I was there and I didn't get to go do it. So, especially if you're going to be there before they close, I would recommend doing it. And I mean, I'll be there the end of March. I'm going to do it.
Hey, Danny, can you keep a secret?
Can I keep a secret?
Yeah, can you keep a secret?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, let me tell you a secret.
Okay.
There's a good chance that if you go after 5 o'clock, it might be half price.
Oh.
Now, I know our listeners are wondering, well, how does he know? Well, I'll tell you. I went on a Sunday last summer. Okay, now I don't know if this. I did not get the details, but I went on a Sunday, and after 5 o'clock, it was half price. And I have to tell you, it was really nice because it was like 4:15, and my son and I were gonna go up and enjoy ourselves. And the cast member behind the window said, let me tell you something. It's half price after 5 o'clock, or it was after 6 o'clock, or something like that. I said, if you wanted to wait, that's come back just a little bit before, and you could still get a good amount of time in there.
What's their hours?
I think they normally close at either 10 or 11.
Okay, you still get solid time in there.
Yeah, and I think we probably spent a good 3.5 hours in there. So, if you can get it at half price. Now, it's not advertised. You don't, from what I recall, I did not see anything in the ticket prices. There was a special. So I don't know if this is something they do all the time. I don't know if it was a weekend thing. I don't know if it was a seasonal thing or just a Sunday thing. But it may be worthwhile to ask the cast member at the box office there whether or not there's any discount specials. Okay, so give it a try.
What do you remember what's full price ticket price to get in there?
Oh, it was like $45.
What?
Yeah, I mean it was one of those. It was like 40 or $45. I'm like, oh my gosh! It was just me and John, and I was like, okay,
$90.
Yeah, it was. But you know what? I was gonna do it. I was gonna. It was. Then I was thinking it was the last time we were gonna be able to see it, right? So I thought, hey, one last hurrah! I budgeted for it, so I wasn't really too shocked about it. I really wasn't gonna worry about it. And but when she said it was half price, I'm like, cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching.
Yeah,
it may have been
basically buy one get one free.
Yeah, it was like, okay, so two for the twofer, and I was really excited. Now here's the thing, there were quite a few people in line for this particular special, so it wasn't like I was the only one that found out about it. It might be a local thing as well.
Yeah.
Don't forget, there's a lot of locals that go there, and last year they actually stopped selling annual passes and stuff like that. So kind of figured, in fact, they stopped selling annual passes at the end of June last year, which I said from the very beginning, well, if they are stopping the sale of annual passes to Disney Quest of June of last year, that means they're going to be open until at least June of 2017. Well, guess who's right? This guy! Yeah. So, I mean, is this one of those things? Now, again, I don't know what kind of specials. They may actually have bigger and better specials this year just because it's closing. I don't know. But, I know that, Uncle Danny, you're going to tell us a little bit about your trip when you finally get there. And, it would be nice actually to compare it. You're going to see it kind of now. I'm going to see it right before it closes. Should be kind of interesting to do a little compare and contrast, if you ask me.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. Man, $45.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Go and find out what the special of the day is. I mean, I'm almost positive that they're going to have to be doing some kind of a special. I mean, it's just
Disney cut you a deal, huh?
Well, the thing is that you never really know, right? I mean, it never hurts to ask, and
no,
so
very true, very true. All right, so let's hop on over to our second topic.
Mm-hmm.
And that is gonna be we're gonna talk about the happy 25th anniversary to Disney Port Orleans.
Ah,
It's definitely a cause for celebration. 25 years, that's a substantial time for a hotel to be around. The resort, it's got about let's check my notes, 2,048 rooms. It's a three-story southern style mansion and two rustic bayou dwellings. You
mm-hmm.
can even choose to stay in that, which I've have. It's really cool. The royal guest rooms, which are specially themed and immersive to your favorite Disney fairy tales, such as Princess and the Frog,
Mm-hmm.
Aladdin, and Beauty and the Beast.
Mm-hmm.
The resort opened February 2nd of 1992. It was named I did not know this. It was named the Disney Dixie Landing Resort.
Right. It was.
I did not know that. Wow. Although the name has changed, the result always has been for the charming waterfront walkways, southern styles, and both Riverside Mill Food Court, which is amazing, and the Boat Riders Ding Hall. Have you eaten at the Boat Riders Dining Hall?
Boat rides? Yes, I
Boat
have.
rides, yes.
And you know, it's been a long time since I have. In fact, the last time I ate boat rides was my very first trip there. Port Orleans Riverside was it was my very first Disney hotel stay, and I've got to tell you this story. This is kind of funny because my wife always says that she had to convince me to stay on property. Because here's the deal: it was our first vacation as a family ever. Okay, and
Mhm.
I was, this was a long time ago. We didn't have a whole lot of money. I had a whole bunch of like points related with a major hotel chain, and I thought to myself, "Oh, I'll just go ahead and stay on points right off of property, and it looks really cool. Let's go ahead and do that." My wife's like, "Okay, fine." Well, little did I know that she was also looking in the background, and she was talking to Disney and saying, "Hey, um, we can actually stay here on property, and it's not going to cost any extra than to stay off site." And I said, "Okay, let's go ahead and do it." So I canceled my reservation. She went ahead and booked over at Port Orleans Riverside. And we actually flew in. In fact, I think at that time we didn't fly into Orlando. We actually flew into um, St. Petersburg.
Really?
Yeah. It was I was traveling a lot, and I um, actually got like one ticket free, and then I had only had to pay for two other tickets, and it was cheaper to do that and get a rental car. Also, I got a rental car because first off, Magical Express wasn't around yet, so you still had to figure out how you were going to get from Orlando Airport to Disney. They
Mhm.
didn't have any shuttles, and that's how far back this goes. And then after our Disney trip, we were actually going over to Jacksonville and Daytona to celebrate some celebrations with my wife's family. So I had a car and everything else. It was great. Well, we got there at the boat rides that first night, and all I have to say is I was so impressed with the food. It was excellent, and I had this awesome seafood dish. There was a Cajun style seafood dish, and it was done absolutely amazing. And the other part is that we actually ate there a couple other times for breakfast. This is before um, they stopped doing breakfast, and they had a wonderful big omelet that was fantastic. My daughter had some of the best Mickey Mouse pancakes. My wife had some of the French toast there that was absolutely fantastic. And we actually ate there a couple times, and it was very reasonable priced. So now I haven't eaten there in a while. I'd love to hear what some of our listeners think of boat rides if they've been there in a while, because I've heard some mixed things about it. But that's okay because I think every restaurant has its day, so to speak.
Yeah.
Um, but I really super enjoyed it, and at the same time, we did actually enjoy the food court there. At
I
least one
love the
time.
food court.
Their food court is really good. In fact, I know you have a thing for being anti Disney pizza. But there have been times where we have stayed there again, and we've actually gotten pizza late at night, and split it between all of us, and it was actually really pretty good. For maybe it was because we were tired, it was late, and we were hungry, and anything would have, cardboard would have tasted good. I don't know, um, but it was really good. I've really enjoyed it, and um, quite honestly, I think the restaurant makes the hotel makes the restaurant, and it's we've stayed there a couple times, a couple 3 times since then, and um, really just loved it, loved it, loved it, loved
Yeah,
it.
I really do enjoy it. Even I mean, I'm a bigger fan of its sisters over at Disney's Riverside, but I mean, the only thing I would really say about the hotel is I think the rooms can get a little dark with their coloring sets, but it goes with the theme, so I get it. And the pool, it leaves something to be desired too. But once you stay at beach club or yacht club, there's no
Yeah,
going back. That's the thing is I'm spoiled now.
but the thing is, I still really enjoy their pool area, and actually their quiet pools are large and plentiful. There's several of them on that particular property.
Yes.
Um, I mean, that was tell you the truth. If you don't want to deal with the hustle and bustle of the feature pool, those quiet pools are supposed, back then I should say, were open 24 hours,
Yeah.
and it was really convenient and it was a lot of fun. Granted they call it quiet pools, but it's not like shh, quiet, gotta swim very
Yeah.
quietly. You just have,
Yeah.
it's just not a feature pool. So, and here's the cool part: we actually stayed there before they made the changes and the renovations to include queen beds.
Oh.
We stayed there when they still had the full size beds and stuff. Which we actually stayed there one time for 9 nights.
Oh.
In fact it was 10 years ago that we stayed there for 9 nights. So I got to tell you this. That's a long nights. Long number of nights. That doesn't make sense, Chris. Um, that's just a long time to stay on site. When you're used to a queen size bed. Well,
Yeah.
we totally rejoiced at the idea when they finally switched it over to queen size beds. So it's really good.
Yeah, before we move on, I think just my two favorite things that come out of that is I love taking the boat ride, the river boat from Disney Springs, well, downtown Disney last time I stayed there. Always thought that was a lot of fun. And I like taking that walk, especially with, my significant other at the time, down the was it
The Sassagoula,
Sassagoula?
Sassagoula.
Yeah, never Sassagoula, the river that connects the two resorts. I don't know. To me, that's so like it's awesome, and I will get some video of that to bring back because I love it.
Cool. It's really cool. And also one other thing, um, if you go to the lounge over there at Riverside, I have yet to actually see in person, but there's Yeehaw Bob that performs every night, and it's a family-friendly show.
What?
Yeah, have you ever heard of Yeehaw Bob?
No.
Oh my gosh. Okay, even if you're not staying there, go over to the lounge there. I can't remember. They probably have a schedule there, but you can go ahead, order some bar food, nachos and other things like that. But then you got, he does a family friendly sing along type of thing. He plays the piano, absolutely awesome. I've seen other people stream his shows, both live and there's probably some on YouTube as well. Definitely an experience to be had. I want to see it really bad. Hey, that rhymes. Didn't mean to do that, but
Yeah.
but still, go ahead and give that a try. And it's one of those hidden gems. I mean, it really puts this resort, I think, on the map, so to speak, as one of my favorite moderate resorts.
That's super cool. Okay, so let's pop over to number three. And what number three is, we're going to take a look at the Hurry Home Lunar New Year celebration at Disney California Adventure Park. So we do have a YouTube clip to show you. But before we get into that, what it basically is, it's the highlights of the Lunar New Year celebration at Disney's Hollywood. Oh, look at that. Disney's California Adventure Park. It's called Hurry Home. It's a delightful 6-minute pre-show presented just before each evening's performance of World of Color. Hurry Home follows the journey of a little lantern character returning home from his annual celebration of good luck and fortune. The short is accompanied by a stirring musical score created by Academy Award-winning composer Tan Dunn. That's a fantastic first name. Uh, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, if you all remember that. That's what they're known for. So I'm not going to bore you with any more of that. Chris, why don't we show them what we're talking about?
Sure. Here you go.
Every night when guests come to see World of Color, this is a special treat that they get before World of Color. It's a wonderful little intro into the show. I have a couple favorite parts. Of course, I always love when there's fire out here because it just warms me up in my heart and in my eyes. But of course, I really love Mushu. We did a really playful job creating Mushu for the show, and how he interacts with the little lantern, I just think is a magical part of the show. One of the things that we have in this show that we don't have typically here at World of Color is fireworks. Because, of course, what would Lunar New Year be without a little bit of fireworks?
Now, that particular clip, just to let everybody know, is you can go to Disneyland's YouTube channel to actually check that out again. It's there as well as many other videos that they have live streamed. Danny, what else do you got to tell us about that particular event?
All right. So about that particular event, it is ending February 5th. So you have a few more days if anybody's out in the Disney California Adventure area. It was just we're not going to sit too long about on this one. It was just something really different. And when me and Chris were talking about planning the show and everything, and I showed him the clip, it just seemed like the colors popped so much. There was so much going on, and it just as much as I love Wishes, I think it's the best nighttime show. I think it's the best fireworks show I've ever seen in my life.
Okay.
But this one just was something. There was something unique about it. It's a wide area. It's not terribly long. You're looking at about, what did I say? It was a 6 minute,
Hmm.
6 minute performance,
Sure.
which is really nothing. And it comes right before World of Color, and everybody who goes to Disney California over in Disneyland loves World of Color. If you don't know what World of Color is, head on over to YouTube. I mean, watch it, and you're going to be amazed by it.
It is awesome.
So Disneyland's really stepping up. Especially Disney World. We keep getting all these new parks, and I love what Disney World's doing. Don't take that away. But Disneyland they got the parade back. They have this. They have World of Color. This was something unique and something different just for Disneyland. So I thought that was really cool.
Well, I got to say that, first off, if you are going out to Disneyland and you do go out to Disney's California Adventure to see World of Color, one of the biggest things I can say is they have fast passes for them, but what's the best way of putting it? It's more of everybody needs a fast pass to actually see it. So get it early. If you can do a dining package like the for Carthay Circle, do that. Even though it's going to cost you some extra money, you're going to get an awesome viewing spot with that. I know that one of our listeners, Nancy, and her family have done that, and trust me, they had a whole lot better viewing area than what I saw at that very same day. Get there early. Get as far front as possible. It's standing room only. Just kind of keep that in mind as well. And don't worry if you can't see everything at ground level, because there's a lot of it that goes very high into the sky. So by all means, if you're going to do that, it is a not miss type of thing. Give that a try, and if you see it, let us know. We'd love to hear it. Go ahead and just hit us up an email at behindtheearspodcast@gmail.com. So yeah, just give it a try.
All right, so on to our next one. Chris, I'm going to let you take it away.
And this is in regards to
Mousekeeping.
That's right. Sorry, had a little brain pause there. Mousekeeping is now, Disney's brought in, a third party to try to, in essence, retrain mousekeeping. And this sounds like a really weird thing to talk about, right? But lately, I've been seeing guests, say things like on different sites that mousekeeping's knocking on their door at 8 o'clock in the morning. On the last day, or even in the middle of a trip, they knock on the door expecting them to, when are they going to leave? But not just knocking on the door. Some of them have actually been reported, allegedly, was allegedly
Opening
reported
doors.
opening doors, even with
Oh
a
my
do not disturb sign. So, first off, let's go ahead and review something in regards to safety in a hotel room. There is a deadbolt. Use it. There's that little thingy that goes over the top. Use it too.
Yeah.
Because there was one person that said, I'm glad that I should have been there, totally coming out after the shower. I would have given him a show. I'm like, that would have been hilarious. Well, maybe not, but the thing is that obviously there have been more reports of this lately, and I realize that on Facebook and stuff like that, you tend to hear more about the negative than you do about the good. It's kind of the nature of the beast, right? Because we all like to bring up issues, but we don't always bring up the good stuff. Well, with that said, I guess the complaints have finally gotten out of hand, and Disney's going to do something about it. Now, I don't know about you, Danny, but I will admit I have had my share of issues. In fact, last summer, the part that really kind of got me was when we were at Old Key West, and we left for the day, and we knew that it was our since we're DVC members, we don't get mousekeeping every day, but it was our trash and tidy day. So not only did they take our trash, they didn't replace our towels. They actually took the towels. They didn't replace the towels, and they were supposed to replenish the toiletries, right? They took the toiletries and didn't replace them either. Now,
No shower for you.
no shower for you. Yeah, you better be glad you have water.
Yeah.
So okay, so my wife was the one that found this out, and I'll be honest with you. I know we've talked about this on the show before, but just a brief rundown. If you dial 0 on your phone expecting to get the front desk, you're really not going to get the front desk. Even if you try to do for housekeeping, you really don't. You really just, if you have a problem like that, go to the front desk. Just, you're going to go by there anyway. Go there and say, hey, listen, here's a problem. I want it taken care of, please. And so, that's exactly what my wife did. She went to the front desk, explained to the desk manager what happened, and said, I'm going out to the parks for the evening. I would like to take a shower when I come back. I would really like for everything to be replenished when I get back. And sure enough, it was all taken care of. Now, I'll admit, this is the parts a little bit, nitpicking. That's exactly what it is, and I will admit it right now. Please, no, don't flame me. But the nitpick part to it is just that when we walked in the door, they placed all the towels and the toiletries on one of the beds. I mean, you could have at least
walked out?
And just, it was like, they opened a door, put the stuff there, walked out. Again, I'm nitpicking. We got our stuff. I'm happy. I had a shower that night. Everybody was happy. So, but, still, it's just one of those things. Now, at the same time, the year before, also during our trash and tidy day, at Animal Kingdom Lodge, over at Kidani Village, we were getting ready, knock at the door. It was housekeeping. And we're like, well, we'll be out here in about 10 minutes. The mousekeeper basically said, well, here are your towels. What? You're just going to get... It's like, I'm here busy trying to get my family out the door. Respectfully speaking, can't you just come back in 10 minutes? And, she's just like, here. But here's the part that grinds my gears, Danny. So,
Ooh.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to make this event, but I'm sure I had a little bit of a reaction like, excuse me, many other guests do. So we left our room, and we saw, this mousekeeper just sitting on a bench down the hall, doing basically nothing. And I'm just like, wait a second.
Union break?
I don't know, but it really kind of irritated me. And it's like, here you are, you interrupted me, and I'm not above taking some towels from somebody or anything like that. But, it's just a matter of convenience. I'm trying to get my family out the door so we can go enjoy the parks, and now I got to deal with this. And, we did ask her to, after we leave, to drop off some, drop off the toiletries and stuff. And she did that. I even tipped her right there, thinking I was, hoping to get some extra toiletries or whatever. No, nothing. Now I realize I shouldn't have expected anything, but the fact of the matter is, could have done something extra because,
Yeah.
I don't know. At least could have brought some extra towels or whatever. I don't know, but because we didn't deal with the trash or anything like that, she did come in and just take the trash, and everything else was basic. Again, I'm not trying to sound like a snob, and I do apologize if I do. It's not my style, and I'm hoping that our listeners understand that. But I wasn't really too happy of being interrupted as a guest. So hopefully these reports are going to subside. Hopefully these reports are going to, turn into good experiences with housekeeping. I'm not making this into a, do you get better housekeeping if you tip or if you don't tip? I'll guarantee you that's an entirely different show that I'm sure that I would love to have an audience panel for that one, because I know that that show in itself will probably, break out, people will break out the chairs and they'll turn into Jerry Springer and, weeping and gnashing of teeth and, that sort of thing. I mean, it would be a really good discussion. Love to hear more people's thoughts on that. But yeah, you know what? Let's see what happens. I tell you right now, it will not happen overnight. Think of
Jessica wants to know, what is the standard tip per day for mousekeeping?
Your mileage may vary. Taxes not included, void or prohibited by law. Residency restrictions are in place. No.
$5.
Well, here's the thing. Some people say $2 per person per day. Okay. That's what some people say. Some people just do it flat $5. Some people just do like $10. Some people do $1 a day per person. I don't know. I don't have the I don't know what Miss Manners or would say about that when it comes to the etiquette of tipping. The thing of it is this. What is, and I said I wasn't going to get into this tipping discussion, but I will mention a few things for the sake of our guest question. It's one of those cases where I personally think it is up to the guest, and it's acceptable to make the decision up to the guest. The fact of the matter is, as a DVC member, I tend to only see the trash and tidy. I don't get sheets changed. They don't vacuum or anything else like that. It's simple. And most times we only stay a couple nights in a room if we're paying cash. I tend to tip when appropriate, but
Okay.
the thing is though, we really do try to be very neat in our rooms. The garbage is in the garbage can. We try to clean things up, especially as in DVC villas, you have a vacuum cleaner, so we keep things. We actually run the vacuum every once in a while just to make sure that everything is clean, because a clean room is a happy room. And I tip as appropriate if we need something extra, or if there was something special from the mousekeepers. I'm not very consistent at it. I will tell you right now, and I'm hoping people don't hate me because of that. I don't know. What do you think on that?
I always just, if I'm there for 5 days and it's just me and one other person in the room, I would just leave a Jackson on the table, nice $20 bill, nice and crisp. That's just my philosophy. $20. I mean, listen, you're paying a lot. They're doing a lot. It's maybe, when you break it down, because Nancy said, boy, if you do have a big family, $2 a head, it does add up. It does, like for Chris, when he stayed for that 9-day trip, I probably would have tipped twice. I would have tipped around day 5 and then tipped on day 9 kind of
Sure.
deal. You know what I mean?
Sure.
If you're staying for, but if you're there for 4 days, to me, I've never in my life ever tipped every day. Like, that's, to me, I just tip at the end. I mean, it stinks if the person, if there's a changeover.
Well,
you know,
that's the thing.
which is
Everybody says that, when it comes to mousekeeping, you kind of have to realize that chances are the same mousekeeper is not going to work your room, 2 times in a row or something like that. And that's understandable. But, you know, I know it's a service industry, and someone who was a cast member that used to work at Disney, you know, I don't know if they were telling me the truth, but they say it's not a tip position. But I know
no,
that.
it's not.
But the thing is that the mousekeepers there really do work really hard to try to turn those rooms over impeccably. I will tell you this: I did tip when it was during the turnover when the resorts used to have smoking and non-smoking rooms,
Hmm.
and my daughter has she had some allergies and having especially when it came to cigarette smoke. So I asked for a room that's never been smoked in, and they're like, well, we can't guarantee to you that, but we will have the room deep cleaned before you arrive. I said, beautiful. Well, when we got into that particular room, it smelt fresh as a daisy. It was,
Oh,
I
good.
mean, it was just. We walked in, we're like, it didn't smell chemically, or like
Yeah,
like it was like literally the carpet was still drying or anything like that. It was an impeccable job. Yes, I
that's awesome.
tipped. And we told him, hey, thanks a lot because this will definitely go far in making sure my family has a trip that doesn't have an allergy attack in the middle of it. So things like that is like a big thumbs up. But I know there are some people. I hate to say this. This is one of those discussions that on some Facebook groups actually ban the conversation of tipping because it does become so heated. So yeah, why don't we go ahead and we'll change the subject here, just for the sake
Yeah.
of saving it for another show.
All right. So, lastly, before we wrap up, we've given you four in-depth conversations. We're gonna hit you with this one. It's gonna be hopefully quick, but knowing me and Chris, there's nothing quick that we do. So, we're gonna talk about Disney earnings. Questions over the state and future of ESPN linger, and a lot of people don't realize Disney owns ESPN. Disney owns ABC. So when you think of Disney, all those other sub companies all they all get lumped into one. Walt Disney Company will deliver its first quarter earnings results after the market opens this upcoming Tuesday.
Okay.
Here's what we're expecting: the Disney Company is going to be down about 0.62%. The expected report is about $1.50 for the quarter. This would be an 8% decline compared to the same quarter a year ago.
Ooh.
So you're like, ooh, that stinks. But an increase of 36% compared to Disney's most recent fourth quarter 2016 earnings. So that is really, really good signs to come. So let's take a look. I know some people aren't really into this, but I'm a businessman. Chris is a businessman. I own stock in Disney, so it's important for me. Let's see. When the park the first day it went public was January 6th, 1978. The stock sold for 78 cents.
Whoa! Cha-ching! Cha-ching! Cha-ching!
Imagine if you bought back then, huh?
Oh.
Then it stayed pretty solid to about like $1.50 into 1985. We saw our first real spike in May of 1998, went up to about $40. Then it bubbled around, and then from 2000 took a big drop down to 2005. It was down to like $20. Obviously rose up again, and then we all know what happened in 2008. Market crashes. At one point in 2009, the Disney stock was worth $15. I mean, to have a time machine and go back would be fantastic. So let's take a look. March 6th of 2009 was $15.83, the lowest in modern times since, let's say, 95.
Wow.
Okay. The highest point it ever reached was November 20th of 2015. It was at $120 a share. The market closed today at $110.61. So, Disney's growing, and you wait wait until Star Wars opens up. Wait till Toy Story opens up. That stock is going to go crazy. So back to the original point, what is this all about? The big question for Disney is, every quarter in recent memory, ESPN has been losing money and it's been dragging on Disney. So what is the state of ESPN? It's a cable sports network. It's such a drag. And it's such a significant earnings miss that it's hard not to talk about. Disney admitted at times are tough for the worldwide leader in sports, but Disney promises better days for ESPN and Wall Street listens. Disney chief executive Bob Iger insisted that ESPN will improve. Analysis from Morgan Stanley recently upgraded Disney shares to overweight the exception of ESPN revenue. So what does this mean for me and you? Nothing. It doesn't really mean much. What does it mean for the Disney stock? Not really anything. It might tick $2 off of your stock. What does it mean for ESPN? That's a whole different story. That is something that, ESPN is not what it was a couple years ago. Let's say go back 5 years ago when it was really dominating the sports market. A lot of people have got fed up with ESPN. And ESPN, I don't want to ever call anything a loser, but in the aspect of a money, it is a loser. It is consistently losing money. And, when your CEO comes out and says, hey,
Right.
this is bad. I mean, ESPN subscriber numbers, which are the lowest points since 2005, typically gets the most, that gets a lot of attraction. There was a statement released by Salmon, Salmon. He's one of the head writers for ESPN, and it says, and while the issues may not implicate 2017 or even 2018 estimates just yet, they are likely to become more important variables in sentiment, trading multiples and terminal multiples in 12 months. Basically, what he's saying is, don't be surprised if Disney starts to make a move on ESPN and shuffle it out. And, this kind of goes back to when you heard a few months ago, me and Chris talked about it. Disney's trying to buy Twitter. Disney was looking at buying Hulu. Disney was looking at buying Netflix. You start buying some of these smaller companies, and, to me and you, the average person, Twitter is a huge company. Netflix is a huge company. To Disney, it's not a huge company.
Right. Right.
And they need to, you will see them start gobbling up smaller companies to almost offset ESPN. So the whole point of this is, when is enough enough? When does a company like ESPN really take a drag on the Disney company itself? Which in return, why does that affect me and you? Well, you have ESPN's Wide World of Sports. What happens if ESPN is no longer associated with that? Do you still get the Little League World Championship? Do you still get the cheerleaders going down there? Or what does that become now?
Ooh,
You can have it.
that's yeah. I never thought of that though.
You can have it sponsored by Scott Trade or Chase or MetLife, but at the end of the day, if ESPN's no longer, whoever buys ESPN, they're going to want to do that. So, just food for thought.
That's actually a really interesting thought because I mean, right now, what have I don't watch ESPN. I'm not a big sports person. Yes, I know. I'm just a little bit like that. I always used to joke around when I always hear the dur 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 sound from people's phones. What's that? Oh, it's my ESPN alert. I'm like, oh, okay. And so but you have Pop Warner football, little league type stuff. That's a big thing. You got cheerleader championships and dance competitions done by the NCAA and the NDA. Which, by the way, a shout out to some of our local schools that are heading down there next week. Anyway, you also have, like you said, the Little League World Series. You've got other football teams. You also got, what is it? The Atlanta Braves do their training camp there, if I'm not mistaken.
That's very true.
And at the same time, I mean, what are they going to do now? Also, at the same time, you also got the ESPN Zone over at the Boardwalk.
Yeah.
It's definitely not something that they're going to take lightly because there is a lot of branding in there. I mean, ESPN may be a little bit of an anchor right now when it comes to earnings per share. But let's face it, to
It's not hurting them.
It's not hurting. It's a blip. I mean, to get rid of it right now, I bet you any money that stock would
Would
just.
hurt them.
Oh yeah, if they made an announcement next week, oh yeah, we decided to go ahead and pitch ESPN. All I'd have to say is, sell, 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 because it's, not to do a, Kramer bit. But the thing is, it's one of those cases where it's going to be, that stock is going to just tank. So there's going to be,
Here's a funny comparison. All right, so I work for FedEx. When it starts snowing heavily in the Northeast, it's always a running joke that we won't come off the road till UPS comes off the road, but UPS won't come off the road till FedEx comes off the road. Well, it's the same thing like this. Disney's not going to sell ESPN when Universal owns NBC Sports. And NBC Sports is a failing market right now. I'm very big in the stocks, so when I promise you NBC Sports is failing, it's kind of like who's going to pull the trigger first. They're both waiting for each other to make that move so the other one can dump it, and it's kind of like who's going to lose the most money before they both decide it's not working out. But I really don't see ESPN going anywhere.
Yeah.
They're going to have to rework things. They might have to close down certain areas and maybe consolidate workers and, try to not run a bare bones operation, but they might have to slim down on the fat because, ESPN grew like that overnight. It went from a couple people to thousands of people working for them. And literally it was in the blink of an eye. ESPN took off. But that's enough talk for today, I think, about stocks before we start losing people. So, Chris, is there anything else you would like to add?
Yeah, the Behind the Ears podcast is going public next week. No, just kidding. That would be pretty funny.
Awesome.
That would be awesome. I actually don't have anything else. Although, I got to be honest with you. I'm so tired of winter right now here in the Midwest that if I thought I would be able to head down to Disney right now, I surely would. It's just kind of interesting, and I do talk to some friends down there, and they're like, "Hey, Chris, how's the weather up there?" I go, "Well, it's only 20 degrees." "Oh, yeah, it's cold down here." "Oh yeah, what? How cold is it?" "Oh, I had to put a sweater on." "Okay, how warm is it?" "Oh, it's 67.
No.
It's 67 degrees."
Yes, I had somebody on Facebook today. I'll go on and they were talking and they're like, I woke up this morning. Now, New Jersey, we've been actually lucky. It hasn't been terribly cold. It's been like in the 30s. So that's not, to me, I'm still wearing shorts. 30's fine.
Yeah, me too.
But someone said to me, like, wow, now they've been living in Florida for like 10 years. And he turns around and he goes, "I can't believe it. I'm finally a Floridian." He goes, "It's 63 degrees outside today, and I have on a sweatshirt and heat on in my car." I was like, 63 degrees? I'd be on the boat. I'd be swimming in the ocean right now at 63 degrees. Are you kidding me?
I'm thinking to myself, 63 degrees. I got a t-shirt. I got a t-shirt and shorts on, and have to put
We're
on
taking a
put
dip in the
sunblock.
pool.
I know. I mean, it's like I'm thinking of the first time that it hits 60 degrees up here. I'm like, oh yeah, I am so cracking open the cover of the pool. I'm gonna get it going, and then of course the next day is 4 inches of snow and everything else like that. I mean, it's just here in the Midwest, it's hilarious because you can have the heat on and the air conditioning on all in the same day.
Yeah. That's how it is in the Northeast, though. Like the other day, it was almost 50 degrees, and I'm driving at work, and I had to put on the AC because I started sweating. And then all of a sudden, like 3 stops later, so it takes about 20 minutes. All of a sudden, I get in my truck, and I'm like, I can see my breath. I'm like, wait a minute, hold on a second. This got really cold out of nowhere. What is going on here?
Yeah, I know, but you know what? It is what it is right now, and that's why we have dreams. Well, Danny, why don't we go ahead and wrap it up?
All right, guys. Just a quick reminder, if you are planning a Disney trip and you don't want to deal with the hustle and bustle, maybe you just want to send it off to somebody else. Well, why not send it over to our fantastic sponsors over at Mouse Travel, mousemastertravel.com. They do a fantastic job. I am currently booking my trip through them, and I will have up a testimonial about how fantastic they are because so far they have knocked it out of the park, made my life so much easier. But with that being said, guys, don't forget, please share this video, share any of our live videos. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to catch all our archive shows over there. Also, like our Facebook page over at Behind the Ears Podcast so you can get live notifications when we are going live. You can also follow us on Instagram at Behind the Ears Podcast. And if you want to catch any of our tweets, that's at Behind the Ears PC. And if you want to maybe come on the show, you want to talk about something in particular, maybe you just want to tell us how cold it is over by you, you could drop us a line over at Behind the Ears Podcast at gmail.com. And lastly, if you guys haven't done this already, or maybe you don't even listen at this particular spot, please go on iTunes, rate and review the show. It just helps the show climb that ladder and it helps people find the show that much easier. So, with that being said, guys, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Behind the Ears Podcast. I am Uncle Danny. I am signing out.
And I'm Mr. Chris. Thanks once again for joining us today on our adventure, and we hope that you have a magical adventure tomorrow. So until we meet again, thanks and take care.
Bye, buddy.